Good morning, students. Today's topic of discussion is truth maintenance systems. When we are building expert system, we also develop knowledge base. A knowledge base has got facts, axioms, uh, and inferences, uh, which can be drawn from those facts and axioms. Truth maintenance system is a structure. It helps to revise set of beliefs and maintaining the truth every time a new information contradicts information already present in the system. In the system, if the value present is 10 and the new information that has arrived makes this value uh, contradictory to the value which has newly arrived. Consider that existing value is 10 and new value is 8, and there is a contradiction between the two. Contradiction in the sense that both are not equal. When we say existing and new both are equal, it is like the truth is established. If it is not, this is numeric example. As we go along, we will discuss uh, sentential examples as well. Right now, just to try to understand that truth maintenance system is a structure which helps in revising the information whenever new information contradicts the existing information. There are two kinds of truth maintenance systems, a monotonic truth maintenance system and a non-monotonic truth maintenance system. In monotonic truth maintenance system, once a fact or piece of information is stored in the knowledge base, it cannot be changed during the process of reasoning. That is monotonic. Monotonic means it cannot be changed. Consider an example. It is said that T's father is a tiger. Okay. This is one first information. Second is tiger lives in den or cave. Den or cave. The third information is T's father lived in cage. What do you derive from this? What information you understand about T? Who is T? Can anyone tell me who is T? T's father is a tiger. The tiger lives in den or cave. T's father lived in cage. Apparently, T is a tiger, right? T is a tiger. This is inference from the set of sentences which are stored in the knowledge base, and these are the facts about T. And T is inferred to be tiger. This fact cannot be changed. Why this fact cannot be changed? If you say that some animal is a tiger based on the father and its living information, that cannot be changed. Means it is the established truth. This truth cannot be changed. This is known as monotonic system and logic. All right, non-monotonic system and logic. In non-monotonic system and logic, truth that is present in the system can be retracted whenever contradiction arises. Retracted means what? Means would be changed and would be taken back. Example, if there is a fact stored in the knowledge base, fact 1, birds fly, and there is second fact which is stored as penguin is a bird. When you say that these two facts helped in inferring that penguin can fly, when you say birds fly, penguin is a bird. If penguin is a bird, we know that birds fly. Therefore, we can conclude that penguin can fly. All right. Here we can infer from these two facts that penguin can fly. However, later a third fact is added to the system that says penguins can't fly. When it is said that penguins can't fly, the inference that has been is made negative. There is a contradiction. The contradiction is between the new fact that has been added and the inference that was derived from the existing or previous facts. Penguins can fly is the inference. However, with the introduction of a new fact, fact number 3, that states penguins can't fly, there is a contradiction. You see, penguins can fly, penguins can't fly. This is a contradiction. Because of this contradiction, this inference has to be retracted, means it has to be taken back and this fact is to be considered. This is known as non-monotonic system and logic, where truths that are present in the system can be retracted whenever a contradiction arises. This figure 8.6 shows the interaction between different components in a problem solver. KB is knowledge base. TMS is truth maintenance system. IE is inference engine. IE inference engine. This is truth maintenance system. And KB is knowledge base. These three components interact with among each other in order to solve a problem. What does inference engine says to the truth maintenance system? Inference engine would tell if there is any new fact added or if there is any new conclusion derived, and this uh, inference engine asks from the truth maintenance system any inference or any details about a particular fact. And this knowledge base is used to uh, store all the facts. And therefore, here we can conclude that these are the three important components that are used in solving a particular problem. Monotonic truth maintenance system. This how it actually works. This is a general facility for manipulating Boolean constraints on propositions symbols. For example, we say that P and Q are propositions, and uh, uh, we can uh, P leads to Q. How this functionality of monotonic TMS is developed. In this, constraints can be added, follow from statements would be included, and some interface functions could be incorporated. What are these functions? Add constraint is about adding a constraint to the internal constraint set. What constraint? What is a constraint? When there is a knowledge base, suppose if it is a knowledge base for medical information, when the constraint given is that if there is a fever, if there is a cold, if there is a cough, then we can conclude that person is having COVID, for example. These days, because this is only the thing that is happening, let us take that example. So these are the constraints. The constraints which are given as if fever is 102 and above, uh, if there is a chilling cold, if cough is severe. These are the conditions and these are the constraints. When a new condition and constraint is added, we could do that through add constraint. Loss of taste and smell. If this new condition is added with some constraint, then we can say that we are calling add constraint function. Follows from means this COVID follows from the fever. All right. Interface function. These are the functions through which user can interact and which can have instances like justifying literal, justifying constraints. Why you are choosing one or two as the uh, fever value to call it to be COVID? Why? What is the reason? What is the reason of including this loss of taste? All that justification statements, whatever you include, uh, they are kept through interface functions with which user interacts. Justification functions are shown in the table 8.8. Justifying literals PW, PQR. What are derived literals? From PW, R is derived. What is the constraint? Constraint says that if there is a P and Q, it derives R. So from P and Q, P and W, R could be derived. R is a derived literal. If there is a P, the justification constraint is Justifying constraint is P implies Q. QRS means Q and R implies S. Like this kind of justifying functions could be developed. This is a justification tree. From S, you can go back to Q and R, this Q and R. From Q, look at this table. From S, you can get Q and R. From Q, you can get P. From R, you can get PW. From S, QR. From Q, P. From R, PW. And what is this Q? P implies Q. And what is here the constraint? P and W implies R. How is contradiction handled? How contradiction is handled in monotonic truth maintenance system? In this, truth maintenance system could determine a given premise set. If it contradicts the internal constraint, then the function follows from returns yes. This is a contradiction. This is the existing premise set. What is premise set? Whatever the truth and the facts that you are storing, that is the premise set. And this contradiction follows from this premise set. In that case, it returns yes. In the case justifying literals, contradiction and premise set sigma, and justifying constraints, contradiction sigma returns a set of literals and set of constraints. Here we can see what are the premises. This PW is the premise. And here for S, QR is the premise. For S, we could derive this premise. Okay, that is the non-monotonic truth maintenance system. In non-monotonic truth maintenance system, the basic operation of truth maintenance system is to attach a justification to a fact. There should be a justification. Why? What justification? In this example, when T is said to be a tiger, what is the justification? Justification is that if a parent is tiger, the child will always be tiger only. For tiger parents, no other child will be born except tigers. So that is the justification. Because of that justification, that inference is valid. In a truth maintenance system, whenever justification to a fact is attached, actually that is the basic operation of this TMS. Further, this truth maintenance system is synonymous with the term knowledge base maintenance, and it defines it is defined as keeping track of the interrelations between assertions in the knowledge base. What are assertions? All the positive statements are assertions. What truth maintenance does is it keeps track of interrelations between assertions. Why this is considered to be truth? If something is truth, what is the reason? If some other thing is truth, what is the reason? That reason is nothing but the justification. And there is a table known as truth maintenance table that attaches for every truth. If there is a truth, there should be justification. All right. And this is done through support list. Support list is uh, a justification column in the justification of fact table, where there is a value justification support list which has got in node and out node. In node represent list of all in nodes, which are the propositions that support the considered node. Suppose if mm, again, if you consider example of tiger, we say that tiger T is a tiger because T's father is a tiger. T's father is a tiger supports that inference made, which is T is a tiger. All the um, facts that supports a particular statement and all that does not support. Out means that does not support a node to be true. In means that supports node to be true. Consider this example, table 8.9. No, there are four nodes, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are four nodes. And these are four facts or assertions. Assertions means which are true in nature, which are the facts. First one is it is sunny. When can you say it is sunny? That justification is written in the form of support list, SL. SL would support other facts or assertions to give the justification. Out of these four, when can you say it is sunny? If it rains, can you say it is sunny? No. It is warm? Yes. If it is sunny, it will be warm. It is nighttime. During nighttime, there is no sun. There is no sunny. Support list includes 3 as the supported assertion. 3 is it is warm. 2 and 4 as unsupported assertions to this statement. What are those 2? 2 and 4. 2 means it rains, 4 means it is nighttime. Both must not be true in order for it to be sunny. Okay, this is justification column. For node number 2, what is the justification? There is no in and out support list. Anytime it may rain. If you have observed, sometimes it rains while it is sunny. Sometimes it rains when the weather is warm. Sometimes it rains during the night time. For third one, support list. It is warm. It supports assertion number 1, which is it is sunny. When can you say that it is warm? Only when it is sunny. Otherwise, it is not warm. And 2, what is 2? 2 is it rains. What happens is, although the present uh, condition would be warm, but when it starts raining, the weather would change to somewhat cool. Therefore, here 2 is not supported for warm. If it rains during raining and after the rain, it will not be warm, that much warm, compared to when it is with sun. And the last one, support list, night, there is no fact associated with that. And 1 means it is sunny, it is not supported. If it is sunny, it is not the night time. If it is not sunny, only then it is the night time. Conditional proof. So in the conditional proof, we learned that all whatever I described uh, based on the facts and the assertions we can prove, and justification would be given by considering them. Applications of TMS to search. How is TMS useful? TMS is truth maintenance system. It is useful in controlling the searches. For example, whenever there is a constraint satisfaction problem. What is a constraint satisfaction problem? These are the problems that occur uh, in gaming. For instance, if you start to play the chess game, you have a chessboard, 8 by 8 chessboard, and all the placements must be according to the rules of the game. Uh, when you start the game, there is a constraint that something should be placed at some place and that should be placed at some other place. There are some certain rules that need to be followed. That is constraint satisfaction problem. You have to follow constraints, and you cannot move uh, here and there wherever you wish. It is not possible. For that also there are certain rules which are nothing but the constraints. For constraint satisfaction problems, TMS, truth maintenance system, is useful because truth maintenance system would check if there is any contradiction, and whether it can be corrected or not, and also it specifies the um, justifications. Okay, for every action there is a justification. That is all about truth maintenance system. Next, applications of expert systems. What is an expert system? Expert system has got components that functions as a human expert. For instance, uh, mm, a doctor, uh, cardiologist. Okay, a cardiologist is a doctor who specializes in heart. Whatever doctor knows, by asking questions and uh, programming all those answers in the form of an expert system, is useful when useful when there is a doctor not available. A user, a patient can go to a expert system. Patient would specify what are his symptoms. The expert system will go on asking questions. Later, expert system would give diagnosis uh, and justification for the diagnosis, perhaps some kind of prescriptions as well. That is nothing but an expert system. Expert system need not be a doctor. It can be expert in any field. For instance, uh, an expert of uh, geography, like maps. Now you can consider Google Maps as an expert system. It is specialized in giving us the routes, the short routes, the different alternatives to reach a particular place. So in any area, earlier when there was no Google Map, you used to ask somebody who already knows the routes. Perhaps when you go out, you might ask your father, uh, because he travels a lot. He's considered to be an expert. So do you know where from here, where to go, how to go, and all? Instead of you asking your father now, you ask an expert, which is a software, which is, uh, for example, Google Maps. All right. So, what are the applications of expert system for diagnosis? Diagnosis of diseases, diagnosis of anything. Uh, identifying faulty uh, modules, faulty hardware, inferring whether there is a disease for the given set of symptoms. That is first area of application. Second area is planning and scheduling. Planning and scheduling including airline scheduling of flights, manufacturing of job shop scheduling, creating plan for applying series of chemical reactions, manufacturing process planning. All these requires some kind of expertise, and this could be made possible with the help of a software, which is a AI-based expert system. The third one could be in design and manufacturing, gene cloning, integrated circuits layout designing, complex organic molecules, modular home building. All these comes under the areas where expert system could be leveraged. Next would be predictions, prediction of rain, prediction of crop, prediction in share market, interpretation, interpreting ICU test results, sensor reports, radar images, in financial decision making, for example, foreign exchange trading, uh, formulating financial strategies. For that, there is an expert required, uh, or an AI-based expert system could be developed that assist users in formulating financial strategies, giving advices in process monitoring, for instance, steel making, oil refinery, refining industries, nuclear reactor, patient monitoring systems in hospitals. All these are uh, a part of process monitoring and control. Examples in instruction, for example, giving lectures to students, debugging if there is any faulty equipment, and debugging computer programs, knowledge publishing. For instance, when you write an article in English language, instead of a English expert uh, evaluating it, a software system would also do that. Check upon all the grammar and spelling and all. That is also an example of expert system. Tax advisor, and there are other miscellaneous applications including this fraud detection, um, handling certain tedious and dangerous situations such as coal mining, judicial systems, defense, performing situation assessment from intelligent reports, household activities like giving advice on cooking, shopping. You know, the person who's specialized in cooking is a chef. Instead of asking to chef, you can ask a computer system program which is based on AI. Those are the applications of expert systems. List of shells and tools. Nowadays, we don't have these shells and tools widely used because we have full-fledged AI systems available with us. For example, Siri, Google Maps. You have apps which acts as a psychologist. You can talk to that app would go on asking questions and would determine whether you have any um, stress or mental problem. We have got full-fledged apps available. Earlier, there was Acquire. This was an expert system shell. Arity. This was also an expert development package. Art, automated reasoning tool. Clips, C language integrated production system. These are all earlier expert system examples. Jen Sims, Guru, Huygens System, Knowledge Craft, K-Vision, Mailbot. These are all examples of expert systems. T-Mycin, it is named after E-Mycin, developed at Stanford. It is useful for student exercises. Every kind of expert system was available earlier. Nowadays, we have full-fledged expert systems, which are known as machine learning or AI-based apps or products. Okay, that was all about expert system. Do you have any doubt in this subject, in those topics? You can ask. Okay, let us move ahead and begin a new chapter, number 9, which is uncertainty measure based on probability theory. We know probability theory. It specifies the probability value in terms of, we can say, percentage or uh, just a fraction point values in order to determine whether a particular action would happen or not, and what is the probability of that. Prior to probability theory, we had only two values, 0 and 1. 0 and 1 means what? 0 means non-occurrence of the event, 1 means occurrence of the event. We say whether something would occur or not. There is no value in between, which was used earlier prior to this theory. Later, probability theory came into existence, which specify that between 0 and 1, there are several probability values that could be considered. For instance, we can say that 0.1%. Okay, the reopening of, or we can say the conduction of exams in the month of June. Okay, the probability is 40%. I can say like this, based on the present scenario, we can specify the probability. Otherwise, earlier how it was, we have to say whether exams can be conducted or not. Means in June, no exam would be conducted. Or we can say in June, exams will be conducted. Instead of saying that, we could say there is a probability of 40%, or there is a probability of 60%, 80%, 45%. All right. The term probability is defined as the way of turning an opinion or an expectation into a number lying between 0 and 1. All right. Between 0 and 1, your opinion resides. It's not 0, it's not 1. It's not about black and white. It's about having gray levels as well. And we know that the probability of an event A denoted by P of A, means probability of A is defined as P of A equal to number of outcomes favorable to A over total number of possible outcomes. In case of rolling of coin could be rolled as head or tail. The example is tossing a coin. What is the probability of throwing two successive heads? Two successive heads means first time you toss a coin, you get a head. Second time you toss a coin, again you get a head. What is the probability? It is 0.25. How it is 0.25? It is based on that there are only 4 possible outcomes for throwing a, whenever you throw a coin, you would have heads or tails. When you throw it twice, you would have head head, head tail, tail head, tail tail. So you get 4 possible outcomes. So total number of outcomes are 4. And what is the actual value that is desired, which is HH, means head head, which is 1. 1 over 4 is equals to 0.25. In this manner, you determine the probability of occurrence of an event. What are the axioms? These are the axioms. Probability of A is always greater or equal to 0. Probability of S means it represents a sample space. A and B represent events. What is the sample space? Here, if you consider that here this HT, this is a sample space. And what is the event? Event is HH. HH is the event. So P of S is equals to 1. P of A dash is equals to 1 minus P of A. If occurrence of P of A is 0.25, non-occurrence would be 1 minus 0.25, which is equal to 0.75. And here probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B. If events are mutually exclusive, if both are different. If they are mutually, if they are not mutually exclusive, here they are mutually exclusive, means independent. These two are independent events. P of A is something, P of B is something else. When they are mutually inclusive or not mutually exclusive and not independent or dependent, then P of A union B is P of A plus P of B and P of A and B. And this rule is called as addition rule of probability. And its axiom is given as probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A and B, when A and B are not mutually exclusive. So what is the proof? The proof is that P or probability of A union B is probability of A union A dash and B. You go on, substituting different values. A is P of A dash and B, when as A and A dash and B are mutually exclusive. Then P of A dash and B plus P of A and B minus P of, here we are adding and subtracting probability of A and B. Here you are adding and here you are adding and here you are subtracting. And here finally what you get? You get P of A from here, P of B and P of minus P of, from this A would be cancelled, this A and this A, you get only B, and this would be minus P of A and B. So this is the proof of that probability. What is joint probability? Joint probability is defined as the probability of the occurrence of two independent events. Okay, P of probability of A and B is equals to probability of A and into probability of B. This is joint probability when two events are said to be independent if the occurrence of one event does not depend on the probability of occurrence of the other. And as asterisk means multiplication. Example, tossing of two fair coins separately. Okay. What is the probability of getting head on tossing the first coin? It is denoted by P of probability of A is 0.5. Why? Because there are two total outcomes, two. Out of two, desired outcome one, which is head, is equals to 0.5. And the probability of getting head on tossing second coin. There are two different coins. B is also 0.5. When you have to take joint probability of both, you multiply and you get 0.25. Earlier also we saw that here when you are doing HH head, it was 0.25. Therefore, here we obtained 0.25. All right. And here, probability of getting head on tossing one or both coins, it is called union, or P of A or B. P of A or B is, we know that P of A plus P of B minus P of A and B. P of A and B, we know it is P of A into P of B. So here, P of A is 0.5, P of B is 0.5, and P of A and B is 0.25. You obtain 0.75 as P of A or B. So joint probability distribution, it is given as um, a table 9.1 where you have all the combinations A, B, A dash, B dash. All right. So P of A and B, P of A and B, P of A dash and B, P of B dash and A, P of B dash and A dash. Okay, P of A and B is 0.20, P of A and B dash. All right, students. I hope it is clear. Next is conditional probability. Conditional probability relates to the probability of one event to the occurrence of another. It is condition. Suppose if there are two best friends, if friend 1 attends class, friend 2 also attends. That is condition probability. If friend 2 attends, friend 1 attends. They are dependent. They are not independent. So that is conditional probability, and that is denoted by here this vertical bar. Probability of H, which is hypothesis, provided an event, which is E evidence. Probability of H given E or conditioned on E is equals to number of events favorable to H, which are also favorable to E. All the events favorable to both hypothesis and evidence over number of events favorable to E, only to events, which is equal to P of H and E over P of E. This rule we cannot use when P of E equals to 0 because division by 0 is not possible. Only when P of E is greater than 0 we can use this formula. If events H and E defined on sample space S of a random experiment are independent, then P of H given E is equals to P of H. This is by proof. We are solving. This is the actual formula, and then through joint probability we can write E, H and E as into multiplication. We saw it earlier, and this P of E, when you cancel you get P of H. So we can prove this is proved like this. We can prove for E condition on H as well, which is equal to P of E. Example, we are given probability of any person chosen at random being literate as 0.40. All right. A any person, suppose you on the road, there are several people walking and moving. You choose one person at random, and the probability of that person to be literate, the one who is educated, is 40%, and the probability of any person chosen at random having age greater than 60 is 0.005. All right, this is the probability. If you choose a person and his age is greater than 60, the probability is this much. So we have to find the probability of the fact that a person chosen at random is greater than 60, whose age is greater than 60 and who is literate. How can we solve this problem? Probability of X is literate and age is greater than or equal to 60. This is AND problem. All right, both should be satisfying. So how can you split it up? You can split it up by using this multiplication. P of X is literate, P of X uh, age greater than 60. Literate is 0.40, from this we know, and age greater than 60 is 0.005. We know, we got this, and the probability is 0.002. The probability that a person chosen having age greater than is literate is calculated using the conditional probability. This is AND probability. Both is 0.002. Now condition. What is the condition? Condition that X is literate, conditioned on age of X is greater than 60. For that, this is the formula. We know that both satisfying is 0.002, and just satisfying age is 0.005, and when you put this in formula you get 0.4. So what is the probability that a chosen person at random having age greater than 60 is literate given age is greater than 60? This is another example, joint probability distribution. The example is, suppose if we are given the probability of some event today, such as sun is bright today, as P of sunny today is 60%. Probability of the same event tomorrow as sunny tomorrow, conditioned it is sunny today, is 0.8. Provided that today the sun is bright. And now we can compute all possible joint probabilities of these two variables. Let us represent A for sun is bright today and B for sun will be bright tomorrow. Now, how can we represent all four situations? A, 0.6, P of A. What is A? A is sun is bright today. So sun is bright today. What is the probability? It is 6.6. Sun is bright today. So this side you have 60 A. Not A means 0.4. If it is not bright, if it is given, if one value is given, we can say 1 minus 0.6, which is equal to 0.4. And what is tomorrow? We get four combinations. What four combinations we get? B given A. B given A means tomorrow will be bright, given today is bright. And here tomorrow will not be bright, given today is bright. This is tomorrow will be bright, given today is not bright. This is tomorrow is not bright, given today is not bright. If you substitute these values, you get the response. Okay, Bayes theorem. I think we should learn Bayes theorem tomorrow. Students, please answer your attendance. In every class from now, I will ask attendance also. So Today is June 1st. Okay, AI, please tell me your roll numbers present. Here,
50, ma'am.
50, 50. I will take you from here. Certain. What is Ajmal Khan? What is your roll number? 36, 43, 49, 50, 51. Ajmal Khan, what is your roll number?
17/09.
17 batch 09. Okay, Ajmal, you have not sent me your readmission slip. Please send me your readmission slip. And also,
Okay, ma'am.
create one ID like in this manner. You see here, this is 19.051. You create 17.009. Ajmal Khan.
Okay.
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 You create one
Okay.
email ID like that and log in into all classes and all other activities using that. It will be useful.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, students, I hope it is clear to you all. Uh, See you all tomorrow for the next topic.
Okay. Thank you.